Hey there, delightful person. Your viewership ignites sparks of pleasure, but subscription would fan those sparks into roaring flames of bliss. Let's get moving. My girlfriend had a tendency to make me the punchline whenever we were with her friends. If my ex texted me right now, I'd leave Mike without a second thought, she blurted out, grinning. The whole group roared with laughter. I forced a grin to match. Later that evening, her phone buzzed. It wasn't from her ex, but that moment still left a mark. Some comments aren't truly jokes. They're veiled provocations, subtle ways of testing how far you'll let someone erode your dignity while you pretend it's all in good fun. Over the last year, I'd been the target of that kind of ridicule more times than I could track, and always from the same person, my girlfriend, Sarah. But the comment she made last Friday in front of all her friends was the breaking point. My name is Mike. I'm 32. I value order and routine. I approach the world logically. Every action has a reaction. I like knowing where I stand. Sarah, 27, couldn't be more different. Her world is constant motion, loud social circles, inside jokes that never die, and emotional chaos that cycles without resolution. I used to think our differences balanced each other, that I brought stability, and she brought spontaneity. But I see it now. I wasn't balancing her. I was the anchor she lashed herself to so she could spin in place without drifting too far. A big part of that turbulence was her ex, David. They ended things 3 years ago, but his ghost never left our relationship. She brought him up constantly. David used to love this place. This reminds me of the trip I took with David. It was endless, like I was always walking in his footsteps. I don't think of myself as the jealous type, but I pay attention, and the truth was obvious. She wasn't over him. I tried bringing it up once, gently and without blame. That sparked a full-blown storm, tears, accusations, late-night phone calls to her friends where she played the victim, painting me as paranoid and controlling. That was all I needed to see. Direct, open conversation would never be possible. Any attempt at honesty would be spun into a narrative where I was the villain. So, I adapted. Quietly, without drama, I started making a contingency plan, just in case I ever needed to walk away. Over the next few months, I laid the groundwork. I installed a small, wide-angle security camera in the living room, pointed at the front door. I told Sarah it was for safety. That wasn't untrue. I also picked up a cheap, prepaid phone and SIM card. I stored them in my desk drawer, an exit route, tucked away out of sight. I hoped I'd never use them. Then came Friday night. We were out at a local bar, celebrating someone's birthday. Sarah had been drinking and was clearly in her element, animated, loud, soaking up every ounce of attention. I sat next to her, quietly nursing a beer and checking the time more than I should have. That's when Chloe, one of her friends, brought him up. "I ran into David the other day," she said, smirking. "He asked how you've been, Sarah." Sarah's whole face lit up. "Seriously? What did he say? Is he dating anyone?" The conversation turned quickly into a deep dive. Sarah eagerly parsing every detail about David's current life, like she was analyzing clues to a mystery only she cared about. I didn't say a word. Then, carried by booze and emboldened by the spotlight, Sarah turned to her friends, and then locked eyes with me. If David texted me right now and said, "Let's go," I'd walk out with him in a second. No hesitation. I'd drop Mike just like that. The group burst into laughter. Big, cruel, theatrical. I didn't react, didn't argue. I just stared at her and gave the smallest of smiles. Calm, measured. "Be careful what you wish for," I told her. She rolled her eyes. "Yeah, okay." Like that would ever happen. The conversation moved on. The moment faded. But I had what I needed. Absolute certainty. The last confirmation. It was done. We got home sometime after 1 a.m. Sarah was still buzzing from the night. She kicked off her shoes and flopped onto the bed without a word, already halfway to sleep. I told her I'd stay up for a bit longer. She didn't even acknowledge me. I shut the bedroom door behind me and walked to my desk. I pulled open the drawer and reached for the burner phone. I pulled David's number from an old group chat buried in archives. With a simple spoofing app, I cloned his contact. It barely took 5 minutes. The next step was crafting the message. It had to be brief, believable, and effortlessly casual. Hey, it's David. I know this is random, but Chloe mentioned she saw you, and now I can't stop thinking about you. I miss you. You up? I fired it off to Sarah's phone. Then I pulled up the living room security feed on my second screen, slipped on my headphones, and leaned back in my chair. The trap was laid. Update 1. Waiting has never been hard for me. I know how to hold steady until the time is right. I kept the mood light for the next hour, just music playing, aimless scrolling. In the corner of my display, the surveillance cam watched the room like a quiet observer. Around 2:15 in the morning, I saw movement. The bedroom door cracked open. Sarah stepped out carefully, her phone casting a soft glow in the dark. Her mouth was tight, lips drawn in, and her teeth pressed down in anticipation. Every inch of her looked coiled with nervous energy. She didn't look at me, not once. Probably assumed I was lost in the music, oblivious. The camera's angle was perfect. It captured everything. She headed for the front door, thumbs flying as she tapped out a message. And then I saw it. That unmistakable smile, wide, giddy, like she'd just won something. She checked her phone one last time, turned on her heel, and quietly slipped back into the bedroom. Exactly 5 minutes later, she emerged again. Gone were the pajamas. She now wore jeans and a comfy sweater. She carried her main purse and a small duffel, the kind she only packed for weekend getaways. Her movements were swift but careful, like she was trying not to disturb a sleeping beast. She cast a brief glance my way, cautious, then returned to business. Shoes on. One last scan of the apartment, the life she was walking away from. Then she closed the front door behind her, quiet as a whisper. As soon as the latch clicked, I pulled off my headphones. The act was over. I saved the footage. A crisp, 2-minute video of my girlfriend reacting to a message, changing clothes, packing up, and slipping out into the night to an encrypted, secure drive. Then came cleanup. First, I threw the deadbolt. Twice. Next, I began the digital purge. I logged her out of every app we shared, Netflix, Spotify, all of it. Changed the Wi-Fi password. We had a joint credit card, my account, but I'd added her to make bill splitting easier. I logged into the banking app, paid off the small balance, and revoked her access completely. Then came the physical part. I wasn't looking to drag this out. No drawn-out conversations, no second trips. This was going to be final. From the closet, I grabbed the moving boxes I'd quietly bought a month ago, just in case. For the next 3 hours, I boxed up her entire existence: clothes, toiletries, shoes, photos, her books. I operated on autopilot. Cold, methodical, detached. By the time the sun rose, my apartment, was purged of her. By the door sat a clean stack of 27 labeled boxes. At 6 a.m., I took the burner phone, snapped it in half, and dropped the pieces in an electronics recycling bin on my walk to the gym. The job was done. The first ping came at 7:32 a.m. A message. "Where are you? I'm at that cafe we always went to. Been here over an hour." It was from David, the real David. She must have texted him after leaving, thinking she was walking into some kind of romantic night. Poor guy probably woke up completely lost. I took a screenshot, saved it. Then the unraveling began. By 9 a.m., reality must have started to settle in. She showed up at the apartment. My phone lit up like a Christmas tree, call after call. I didn't answer any of them. Then came the messages, confused at first, then angry, and finally panicked. "Mike, my key doesn't work. What's happening? Answer me. This isn't a joke. I know you're in there. I can hear you. Open the door. I'm serious. If you don't open up, I'm calling the police. Eventually, I picked up. I didn't say a thing. Mike, she screamed. What's happening? Let me in. No, I said calmly, keeping my voice steady. What do you mean, no? I live here. You don't, I answered, unwavering. This is my apartment. Your name's not on the lease, and as of 7 hours ago, you no longer live here. There was a long pause on her end, the kind of silence that hangs heavy, full of shock. What are you even saying? She finally asked, disbelief bleeding into her voice. I saw it all, I replied, cold and measured. I saw the message come through on your phone. I watched you quietly pack a bag. I saw you slip out after midnight to meet up with your ex, the same one you swore was just a friend, the same guy you joked about leaving me for only a few hours earlier. You were awake? She breathed, panic beginning to creep in. I was, I lied smoothly, letting the silence settle again. I watched it all unfold. You made your choice, Sarah. You didn't hesitate. The only problem is, he didn't choose you back. That's not on me. That's on you. It was a mistake, she choked, her voice cracking. I wasn't thinking straight. Please open the door, let's just talk. There's nothing left to talk about, I said flatly. Your things are packed. 27 boxes. They're stacked by the front door. I hired movers. They'll be here at noon to take everything to your parents' place. I paused for a moment, then delivered the final blow. You should head there and wait. Goodbye, Sarah. Before she could respond, I ended the call and blocked her number. The apartment was still, completely quiet, peaceful. And finally, it was all mine. Update 2. I braced myself for the backlash. Moves like this come with consequences, and I was ready for them. When you draw a hard line, there's always fallout. Reactions, counterattacks. I expected it. It started with the movers. I'd hired a professional crew, the kind that shows up on time, no excuses. Right at noon, they arrived and got to work. By 1:15 p.m., I got a text from the lead. Delivery complete, signed by homeowner. Predictably, she didn't handle it well. Not that I thought she would. Then came the real retaliation. What I've come to call the Samir offensive. It was orchestrated with disturbing precision, almost military in execution. That evening, my social feeds turned into a war zone. Chloe and her inner circle sprang into action, posting vague but pointed content. No names, of course. They were too careful for that. Instead, they praised their strong, luminous friend for escaping a toxic relationship. They spun a story full of emotional manipulation and psychological control. They talked about tech abuse and gaslighting, painting a picture of a partner who used surveillance and suspicion to cage her in. The version of events they pushed? I was the obsessive, untrusting boyfriend who exploded over a joke and kicked her out on a whim. Her leaving wasn't betrayal. It was an act of survival. It was a textbook example of narrative control, clean, curated, and compelling. And for a while, it worked. My inbox filled with angry DMs. Friends, or people I thought were friends, messaged me in outrage or ghosted me entirely. Some just unfollowed and disappeared without a word, fully buying into her version of things. The goal was obvious. Isolate me. Turn me into the villain of a story where she played the wounded heroine. But they misjudged me. They expected I'd go public with an emotional meltdown, fire back with angry posts, vent my side in a dramatic, defensive rant. But that's not how I move. I work with facts. So I waited. Let them build their story, one embellished post at a time. Then, on Wednesday, Sarah herself dropped the bombshell, a long Instagram post framed as her survivor's story. Tear-streaked selfies, melancholy filters, overwrought captions. She described what it was like to live with someone who never trusted her, and how terrifying it was to be thrown out like garbage over a simple misunderstanding. It caught fire. Hundreds of likes, waves of supportive comments. Strangers offering virtual hugs. Friends reposting her story with heart emojis and "you deserve better" slogans. And that's when I knew it was time. I pulled up the evidence I'd already archived, calmly, methodically. I still had the screenshot from the real David, confused and clearly unaware of her visit. More importantly, I had crystal clear footage from my security camera. I built a private web page. Simple design. Clean interface. Just the facts. At the top, one line. The truth about last Friday night. Beneath that, a 2-minute video clip, time-stamped, high resolution, and undeniable. Below the footage, I added the screenshot of David's message, the one that confirmed she lied. At the very bottom, a single paragraph. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't a miscommunication. This was a choice. A long-buried urge finally manifested, sparked by a rush of exhilaration when she received what she assumed was a message from a former flame. That single moment of perceived connection lit the fuse. She threw a few things into a bag and vanished into the night, setting out to meet another man. What unfolded next, a story of manipulation and supposed trauma, was pure fabrication. A narrative crafted to mask the shame of an affair that disintegrated before it even began. I won't waste time debating the truth in public. The evidence speaks for itself. I sent one concise email, just 3 recipients, her parents and Chloe, Sarah's most trusted ally and the loudest advocate for her side. No subject line. The message contained only a hyperlink to a locked web page and the password to access it. The impact was swift and absolute, like tossing a bucket of freezing water on the wildfire of their delusions. This is the last you'll hear from me on this. It's been 5 months. Since then, Sarah and her circle have fallen completely silent. That private link acted like a kill switch, cutting the power to the entire charade. When the screen shows you exactly what happened, there's no room left for spin. Through mutual friends, I learned what came next. Her parents, once so vocal in championing her survivor story, were gutted. The video, their daughter gleeful as she readied herself to betray the one person who had stood by her, shattered the fantasy. The financial lifeline was severed almost immediately. They laid it out clearly. No more support until she owned the consequences of her actions. Chloe, the ever-dedicated defender, fell silent too. The social media declarations vanished. The mission to protect her abused friend evaporated. It's hard to keep up the performance when undeniable proof contradicts the script. But David's response, the ex-boyfriend mistakenly believed to have reignited contact, was the most gratifying. After being dragged unwillingly into her drama, he finally broke his silence. His message, posted publicly, was short but definitive. Just to clarify, I haven't spoken to Sarah in over a year. I'm in a happy relationship and had nothing to do with any recent communication. Please respect my boundaries. That post confirmed everything I already knew. It severed the final thread holding her story together. A public denial, clear and complete, the final blow to her carefully curated victim narrative. From what I hear, her world has shifted dramatically. Without my support, and with her parents withdrawing theirs, she's picked up a second job. She now lives with 2 roommates in a modest apartment and spends her time just getting by. The dramatic, spotlight-chasing version of her life has faded, replaced by the slow grind of everyday responsibility. She's living the life she created, no longer carried by someone she took for granted. And me? I'm thriving. The tension that used to hang in this apartment is gone, replaced by calm and clarity. I've poured myself into my work and it's paying off. I've started dating again, carefully, intentionally. I met someone new, a teacher, and our connection feels honest, stable, and future-focused. It's the healthiest relationship I've experienced in years. Here's the truth. The real win wasn't baiting her with that message. It wasn't capturing the betrayal or sharing the proof. The real victory was refusing to engage in her performance. She wanted a dramatic fallout, a chaotic emotional spiral. She wanted to play the heartbroken heroine in a story built on lies. I denied her the spotlight. Instead, I gave her silence and facts, facts that spoke louder than any confrontation ever could. She tried to drag me into the mess she made. I didn't budge. I stayed grounded, watching her crumble beneath the weight of her own deception. She once laughed and said she'd leave me in a heartbeat. In the end, I was the one who walked away, for good, with no regrets. Now my life is steady again, clear, quiet, and untouched by the chaos she once brought with her.